Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Pramod Pandey, and in this class we will talk about the second part and the portion which is left for your ICCA 12 income tax TAFA taxation. Like this is going to be the second part. We have already tried to start with the very first part and we were able to cover on some portion in this class. We will keep ourselves moving forward and then see what are the certain things that you need to know in the context of your ICCA 12 income tax TAFA taxation, and I will make sure that you would be knowing something or other. That is what you need to require for your AAA examination. With this note, I would begin explaining the some of the thing which you need to know. Like you have been very vocal about that we were discussing about the loophole, and throughout the loophole we got to know there are the two things that income tax department deal with: current tax and deferred tax. Current tax is basically nothing but the tax that you have to pay for the income that has been earned by the company. It could be done on the installment basis, and then whatever the final adjustment or final settlement could be there. But in the case of the deferred taxation, this is not a taxation by itself, but this is an adjustment to the taxation. Adjustment to the taxation, because ultimately they are the two things which are out there: the accounting profit and taxable profit. Accounting profit are the profit which will be like need to be prepared, or which comes according to the financial accounting reporting standard. Taxable profit are basically those profit on which you have to pay the tax. Just like we do have a difference in these two, there are other things which is known in tax basis and carrying basis. So accounting profit and taxable profit are the two things that will be affecting, that is going to be affected by the income and income and expenses, and that will be going to the profit and loss. If I just talk about the other type of the financial statement, which is your financial statement, in that case you will see there are the two things that will come: tax basis and the carrying amount. Now the carrying amount are the basically the amount on which the asset are going to be, or assets and liability are going to be recognized into the financial statement. Now the tax basis is basically nothing but the carrying amount or the amount of any asset and liability which has been calculated by the tax department for the tax purpose. So tax basis is there according to the tax department, and carrying amount is there according to what it has been written into the financial statement. Is it clear? And now the difference between the two would be there. If the difference between the two would be there, that would give rise to the TAFA tax asset, right? Is it clear? Done? So tax basis is nothing but the amount which is attributed to the asset or liability for the tax purpose. What does it mean? It is basically the value which has been calculated by the tax department to calculate or to use it into the tax purpose. Okay? Now temporary differences, what are these? So temporary differences are basically the difference between the carrying amount and the tax basis, which can be because of the two things: the taxable temporary differences and deductible temporary differences. Now the temporary differences at first, which is an adjustment for the future, deferred, it could create an asset, it could create a liability. Now, if it is going to create an asset, in that case, the future liabilities are going to decrease. So in future, your liabilities are going to decrease. If it is going to create a liability for now, in that case, your future liabilities are going to increase. And we are talking about these liabilities are nothing but your tax liabilities. So if deferred or temporary difference is there and that is going to create an asset right now, that asset is going to reduce your taxable liability in the future. But if it is going to create a deferred tax liability for now or liability for now, in that case, it is going to increase your taxable liability in the future. Is it clear? Now the taxable temporary differences are the two types. Taxable, by taxable means in near future it will become taxable. Deductible means in near future it will become deductible, and that is going to reduce the liability. Is it clear? Now, what are the examples which you need to take care about? Now, you have to be very vocal about what are the examples which are out there. Knowing the example is very must and very important thing that you should be guys okay with, because if you would not be knowing the example, in that case, you would be confused which one is creating a deferred tax liability and deferred tax asset. As a taxable temporary differences, that is also known as TTD, is going to create an DTL, means deferred tax liability, and DTD is going to create an DTA, deferred tax asset. Now, deferred tax asset is basically asset, and deferred tax liability is basically liability. This is a liability which is going to reduce your taxability in the future, and it is an asset which is going to increase your liability. Is it clear? This is how the things will take place. Done? So deferred tax, if I just have to summarize it again, so deferred tax liability is a liability that is going to increase the liability in the future, and this way that we have discussed over here, okay? And deferred tax asset which is out there, this is going to reduce your liability in the near future, because asset will create the net of your liability, okay? And liability will create of a net of your asset. And if you're going to add the liability and liability, in that case, that is going to increase. And what we're discussing about income tax liability is already your liability, okay? So these are the certain things, which is something I hope now it has been clear. I was lack for a 1 minute, but I think that has now been delivered to you. So basically, if I just talk about the example which has been given for the taxable temporary differences, in that case, you need to see one thing. The very first example is that, but before the example, if you can able to go through the definition which is over there. So the deferred tax liability is going to be generated or is going to be created when your carrying amount are greater than taxable value. What does it mean? The carrying amount, the value in the books is greater than the value which has been calculated by the tax department. Tax basis basically calculated by the tax department. Carrying amount are basically from the books of the financial statement which are being prepared by the management. Is it clear? Now suppose there is a revaluation surplus of the non-current asset. Now the revaluation surplus is there, and with the revaluation surplus, because this is unrealized gain, you will go to the tax department and say, this is a revaluation surplus and I want you to pay the tax. Tax department will say this to you: we are not going to count this as a gain because this is not the realized gain. For us, what is important is transaction which are taking place in a case. So any transaction which are happening, it could be expenses, it could be loss, it could be income, it could be gain. If all four things are happening in a case, or it could be presented or proved in a case, in that case, tax basis is going to be account them. Otherwise, it will not be going to account them. And carrying value and whatever the financial statement are being prepared, that are going to be based on the accrual basis. So accrual basis are for the management, and tax basis are cash basis for the tax department. Okay. So whatever the revaluation surplus is there, the tax department will not be taking the tax on that. But when you will sell that asset in the near future, and that would be having revaluation surplus, so that how it will become taxable in the near future. So suppose it is creating a liability for you now, which is not going to be taxed by the tax department right now, but it is going to create a liability for a near future. Is it clear? Second, accelerated depreciation for the tax purpose. In your tax department, there is a no concept of depreciation. There is a no concept of depreciation. There is a concept of capital allowances. Now, the capital allowances is something that is available for even to 100%. Capital allowances is basically the concept through which the government accumulate your taxation or tax basis, right? So when we're discussing this thing in a very movement or in a going through, you will observe one thing. Just allow me a minute. I just need to connect the net. So guys, for your tax purpose, you will see this. The tax department which is out there will be giving you the capital allowances for complete in your first year. So in a first year, you will be having a full capital allowances from the tax purpose, but this is not going to happen in a accounting profit, because accounting profit are going to be affected by the depreciation expenses which you're going to put on every year. Is it clear? So the tax methodology are different for the tax department. How do we do as in financial accounting? And these are the two different things. And to your purpose, this could create a liability for now, which is going to increase your liability in the near future. Okay. And development cost capitalized in account but not expense for tax. So what does it mean? If you are going to develop any product, after meeting the pilot criteria, whatever you're incurring in a development stage, that is going to become the cost of the asset, and that's how it becomes an intangible asset. But for a tax purpose, whatever you're incurring will be known as an expenses. Okay. So for a tax purpose, it is going to be treated as an expenses. Is it clear? But you're creating an asset. Suppose you create an intangible asset for yourself after you're capitalizing the development. This is how you do according to the ISA 38. And later on, you put it on the amortization, right? Yes or no? Now, for a tax department, it is not an asset. It will not be an asset till it has been recognized fully, right? But for a tax department, it is an expenses which they are going to account for. Done? They are going to account for it as an expenses at where it is not expenses, so that in that case, the taxable profit and the accounting profit are different, and that's how it would creating a deferred tax liability. These are the examples which you need to guys take care about, and you probably would be knowing about. So whatever the three examples which I have taken, I think these are more than enough to give you the reference like how this could be tested, right? Now we'll talk about the deferred deductible temporary differences. These are basically those tax asset which are going to be created now, which are going to reduce your taxable liability in the near future. What does it mean? That your tax basis is greater than your carrying amount. In that case, there is an ideology which you need to think about. The tax is going to be charged on higher value right now, which should have been done on the lower value, because it has been charged on the higher value now. So in the near future, it's going to be charged on the lower value. So it is creating an asset for you that is going to be used later on. Just like, for example, if there would have been any losses. So if you cannot prove your losses in cash basis or the cash terms, suppose your inventory got damaged, but you cannot show it until it has been sold. Yes or no? So if your inventory has been damaged, so you need to book it according to the load of the cost on NRV. But this is something cannot be acknowledged by the tax department. So you will be recording at the lower of the two. This is how you're recognizing the expenses. This is how you're recognizing the losses. But tax department tax basis will not be accounting for that. In that case, they will be charging the tax on the profit, not keeping the losses in mind. But later on, when you will sold the inventory at the lower of the NRV into, you will see yourself the expenses will be lower and the profit will be lower. Then in that case, that is going to generate expenses, or that is going to generate lower liabilities, right? So these are basically the things. That's the key. If there would be any unrealized intergroup profit in the inventory, in that case, that is going to be adjusted. If there would be an accounting profit and tax depreciation, right? Pension liabilities which are recognized in account but not deductible for tax on contribution. If there would have been any research cost which is recognized in account payable, non-deductible later. These are the examples which you can take care about. Now, what do you need to know? How you would able to know whether something is in deferred tax liability or not. So there is a methodology which I just would like to present in front of you. I think that will help you, right? We would be coming on that. This is the ultimate medium that you need to take care about. And if you guys would able to understand this, would able to remember this, I think that would be more than enough for you in the context of ISO 12 and how it could be tested in a paper. Done? Now, if we gonna rule out what are the recognition rules which are out there. So deferred tax liability is basically recognizing deferred tax liability for all taxable temporary differences, even if the asset is not expected to be sold. So these are the basically rules. You have to recognize the deferred tax liability for all the taxable differences, even if you're expecting that asset is not going to be sold. But the main thing is that the company is not interested in recognizing the liability. It could be that they are not recognizing the liability. It could be possible, right? They are understating their liabilities. But most of the time you will see that they are overstating the liability. So these are the two definitions, two main definitions. They would be recognizing the asset when it should not have been done. They would not be recognizing the liability when this should have been done. So these are the two things. And this is what the trigger point that you would be talking about to the management. You will be having a discussion with them, like why they are doing this certain things, right? So recognizing the deferred tax liability for all the taxable temporary differences, even if the asset is not expected to be sold. Okay, so in that case, the liabilities would have been recognized, but you're not recognizing. In that case, it would be trigger point for that. In the case of the deferred tax asset, you are recognizing a DTA only if it is probable that sufficient future taxable profit will exist to utilize the DTA. But you're recognizing the deferred tax asset even when in case when you do not have any expectation that there will be future taxable profit. You're expecting future tax losses, even though you're recognizing the deferred tax asset. This is what ultimately that comes a lot or most of the time. And this is something that also has been discussed over here in this too. So these are the main thing that you need to take care about. Okay. Now, how the measurement could be done? Applying the tax rate expected when temporary difference is reversed. Okay. You do not have to discount the deferred tax presentation. You have to recognize into the P&L unless it is related to the OCI item. If they would have been into the OCI item, in that case, that will hit your OCI and it will not become the part of your P&L. That would be the case in the revaluation surplus. So if there would be revaluation surplus, so that is going to be the part of OCI, not your P&L. Otherwise, it will go into the P&L only. Okay. There are the two examples. Deferred tax liability. Suppose if there would have been the revaluation surplus, so in that case, this is the revaluation surplus of 1 lakh. Tax rate is this. So it will going to create a DDL. It is not going to be taxed right now, but it is going to be taxed in the near future. So in that case, this is a 20,000 deferred tax, which is need to be recognized, and that is going to increase your tax liability in the near future. So NT would have been expenses and deferred tax liability. Okay. Deferred tax asset. So suppose there is a tax loss, the government will not be, the tax department will not be accounting for this until there is an actual tax loss which can be shown into the case. So suppose this is at 20%. So in that case, you would be having a deferred tax asset of 10 lakh, which is going to be reduce your tax liability in the near future. Okay. So you are going to recognize it only if there would have been any probable future taxable profit. Suppose if they would not have any probable, or if they would have been only possible, if this would have been only remote, even though you are recognizing it as an DTA, in that case, you're doing something wrong in accounting treatment. In that case, it could possible that this is a trigger point you might have to talk about it as an audit question or in the reporting question. Okay. This chapter, which is an IC2, does not come very frequently, but if there would be any, so these are the two things, these are the two definitions which you all need to take care about. Okay. Ultimate medium, that is all what you need to take care about for your IC12 requirement. If I just being very vocal about the accounting treatment, so items which are out there, we will talk about how they're going to recognize it, what is going to be the measurement, how they are going to present it in the financial statement, and there would be any notes on example. So DTL means deferred tax liability, deferred tax asset, deferred tax liability, deferred tax liability. It is going to be for all the taxable temporary differences which are going to create a liability for you. And measurement will be when your tax rate when reversed. Suppose if there were any tax rate which is given, so you're going to multiply whatever the differences are there, multiply the tax rate. This is something we have done here, and it is going to be on the part of your P&L and OCI if underlying item is an OCI. OCI means other comprehensive income. Okay, for your DTL, it is only going to be recognized when probable utilization of the future profit. If they would not have any probable utilization of the future profit and still you're recognizing the deferred tax, this is what the trigger point which you need to take care about. And this could be a caution. This could be the requirement of the caution which you need to take care about. Okay, so tax rate when reversed. So this is again what you need to take care about. This is what will become the point of the measurement. You will be multiplying what is the difference is given by multiplying with the tax rate, right? And it could go again the P&L and OCI if underlying item is OCI, right? Example, tax losses and the provisions. If you would be knowing the example and if you go through the example, I think that will be more than. And whatever the example you need to take care about are listed here. So what I'm thinking, if you go through the examples, this and just know how this could create in deferred tax liability, deferred tax asset, and again, how these are certain has been tested in a past year papers, I think that would be more than enough for you to know from the exam context, right? Ultimately, this is all what you need to take care about. Recognizing deferred tax asset and liability. A situation is that ICE 12 income tax require deferred tax liability to be recognized in respect of taxable temporary differences. If there isn't taxable temporary differences and still you're not recognizing your deferred tax liability, in that case you're doing something wrong, which arise between the carrying amount and tax basis of asset, including differences which arise on the revaluation of the non-current asset, regardless of whether the asset are likely to be disposed in the near future or not. In that case, you have to recognize the liability. Even if you're not expecting, listen, what I'm saying, revaluation surplus will give rise to the liability in the near future. Even if you're not expecting to sell it, still that will not be analyzed, but you have to recognize a deferred tax liability right now. But this is not in the case of the deferred tax asset. Deferred tax asset can only be recognized when you do have a probable taxable future profit to set off your against your asset. These are the two main things which you need to take care about. And if you just have to take care of like what is the main thing or what is the ultimate thing that you have to write in the paper, so this could be the two statement which you would be writing in your AAA paper, right? According to the ICA 12 income tax, a deferred tax asset is going to be recognized for the unused tax losses which are going to be carried forward or unused tax credit only if it is going to be considered that probable. It is not possible, it is not remote. It should be probable that there will be sufficient future taxable profit against which the lesser credit carry forward use can be utilized, or whatever the asset it has been creating, that can go and it can set off against that, right? So this is all what you need to take care about. I have covered this ISO 12 in the two parts. I hope that has been now delivered to you, the ultimate motive, whatever just wanted to discuss from this ISO 12. With this note, I have done and delivered and just talk to you like what are the certain things which you need to take care about from the context of ISO 12. With this, I am Pramod Pandey and your faculty for this IFRS summary course is going to take signing off from this lecture. Would like to meet you in the next one. Till then, take care. Have a good time.